Integrated Math 3, this is a review assignment for your math quiz on Friday. It's going to be Friday, February the 10th. This is due on Friday, February the 10th. You do not get to use this on the test, okay, but it is an assignment. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to review the types of problems you need to know how to do. All right, so first, a basic subtraction problem. So they're always a little tougher when there's zeros on the top. So you turn this 0, you borrow a 1, but there's no 1 here to borrow, so you have to borrow a 1 from here. So a 1 goes from here to here, and then from here to here. And it makes this a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. Now, this borrowed a 1 to become a 10, but it then had to loan a 1 to this 0, so this becomes a 9. 9 minus 4 is 5. And the 1 was borrowed from the 4. And that makes that a 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. So 151. You can check your work by adding from bottom to top. So 1 plus 9 is 10. There's the 0. Carry the 1 down here. 1 plus 5 plus 4 is 10. There's the 0. Carry the 1 again. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. So the answer for this is 151. Okay, now we're going to do a multiplication. You have to be able to do these without a calculator. However, you can use your multiplications table sheet. So 7 times 3 is 21, and you're going to carry a 2 up there. 9 times 7 is 63, plus 2 is 65. And then you're going to carry a 6 up there. And 7 times 4 is 28, plus 6 more is 34. So you're going to get that. Now you want to scratch out these carries because now you're going to do it again. First, you add a 0 down in the second row. 2 times 3 is 6. No carry there. 2 times 9 is 18. Okay. So it's 2 times 9 is 18, and that you're going to carry the 1 there. Be sure to put it in the right place. And then 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that goes right there. Now you add them. Sure to keep your columns lined up. So it's 1, and then 1, and then you're going to have to carry a 1 up here. So 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 8 is 13. You're going to carry a 1 up here, and that's 1 plus 3 plus 9 is going to be 13. All right, so that takes care of the digits. Now, the way you do the decimal is you count how many numbers are to the right of the decimal on this side of the decimal. So here you see the 9 and the 3, so that's 2. Here you see the 7, so that's 1 more. So there's a total of 3 digits to the right of decimal points here. So you start right here and you go 1, 2, 3 places to right there, okay? Rewrite your answer so it's clean without all those loop-de-loops if you draw them. So it's 13.311. And that's your answer. And get in the habit of boxing your answers, okay? All right, long division, this is the one that most people are going to have problems with. And I'm going to just give you a decimal division problem where you have a decimal to move. So you got to move this decimal up against the wall right there. So you moved it over 1 position, so you have to move this decimal over 1 position. Don't just move it to the end automatically. It goes in between the 2 and the 3. Now rewrite this. Don't work with this. Come down here and write this. Okay, so be sure you understand that it's going to look like that before you start your division. And I'm going to want you to go 1 place after the decimal. I'll state that on the quiz. Okay, so now I want you to at least fill out the number line here. Whether you use it or not is up to you. So down on the bottom is a 1 and a 10, always. Up on the top is this new divisor after we adjusted the decimal. It's 24. And over here is 10 times 24 is 240. And this is just to help you with your estimates. All right, so now we're going to go 24, doesn't go into 5, but it does go into 54. So that means our first digit is going to be right where I'm putting that little tiny X. That's where it's going to go. All right, so 24 goes in. I might not be sure. I'm going to say 2 times. So I do want you to come over and show the multiplications at least once, even if you can do it in your head. So 2 times 24. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4, so 48. So we're going to come down here and write 4. We're going to subtract 48. All right, so This number has to be less than this number. If it's not, just the 54 part of it. If it's not, then then 2 is too big a number. But this number 48 is less than 54, so 2 is not too big. Now you do the subtraction, and it's 14 minus 8. You have to borrow 1 from the 5. 14 minus 8 is 6, and then 4 minus 4 is 0, so it's just 6. Also, this number has to be less than this number. The remainder here has to be less than 24. Otherwise, the number you picked is too small. But it passed both tests. This is less than this, so it's not too big. And this is less than this, so it's not too small. So that means 2 is the correct number, so we're going to go ahead and put a 2 up above the 4. All right, now we do pull down the 2. 24 goes into 62. I'm going to say 3 times. So 3 times 24. 3 times 4 is 12. You carry the 1, so 2 times 3 is 6, 7. 72. Come over here. 72 is too big. It's bigger than 62, so it failed the first test. I can't subtract 62 minus 72. That means that 3 is too big, so we have to go back, so it has to be 2 again. So we're going to put a 48 there. We've already done that multiplication. We're going to subtract, and 2 minus 8 is 4. And we had to borrow 1, so 6, 5. 5 minus 4 is 1, so 14. This number is less than 24, and 48 is less than 62, and 14 is less than 24, so it passes both tests. So that means 2 is the next number, and it goes up there. Now, you do not pull down the decimal. Once you have your decimal in place, what I should have done, though, at the beginning is just put it right up there. Okay, so now we're ready to do the next pull down. That's the 3. Okay, 24 into 143. This is where the number line might help you. Where is 143 between 24 and 240? Okay, well, what I like to do sometimes maybe is put halfway. Halfway is right about here. That's right around 120 or so. So 143 is a little more than halfway. I'm going to say it's about right there. I'm going to guess between 1 and 10, that's about a 6. Just a guess. I might not be right. So I'm going to come down here and do 6 times 24. 6 times 4 is 24. Make the 4, you carry the 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. 144. 144 is bigger than 143, so that means 6 is too big. But you can see it's just barely bigger. 144 is just barely bigger, so the number is going to be 5. So let's do that multiplication. And that's why I give you all of these. You don't necessarily have to use them all. I'm going to ask you to show me some of the multiplications that you do. 5 times 6 is 30. You carry the 3 up here. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Okay, good. 130 is less than 143. And if we subtract, we get 13. And 13 is less than 24. That means that 5 was the correct number. So we're going to put that up here. And we're now one place after the decimal. You don't have to go any further. And that would be your final answer. All right, let's do one more. So we got the decimal there. We're going to move it 2 places over to there. So this one's got to go 2 places. 1, 2. It's going to be after the 7. So rewrite this. 92 divided into 187. And since you want to go 1 place after the decimal, you've got to add a 0 there. Now go ahead and put the decimal right away up on the top, right above where it is there, and you don't have to think about the decimal ever again, okay? So let's go 92 into 18. It doesn't go into 1. It doesn't go into 18. It does go into 187. How many times? I'm going to guess 2. So let's say 2 times. Whoops, I forgot to label this. This is part of the requirement on the quiz, is to label this. Whether you use it or not is up to you. So a 92 would go on the top, and 10 times that, 920, would go up there on the right side. Okay, now let's go ahead and do 92. 2 times 92. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 9 is 18. 184. That's good. 184 is less than 187. do the subtraction, and you get 3, and 3 is less than 92, so it passes both tests. That means that 2 is the correct number. Now you had to go 1, 2, all the way over to the 7 to get the 92 to fit in. It didn't fit into 1, it didn't fit into 18, it did fit into 187, so your first digit is going to be right above the 7, and that's going to be a 2. Okay, so we've already placed that. Now we pull down the 0. 92 doesn't go into 30, so after we've done the pull down, this does not go into that number. This is still too small. We would need to do another pull down, but I told you only have to go one place after the decimal. So if after you do the pull down, the divisor still doesn't fit into this number here, then you have to put a 0 up here, okay? And if we wanted, we could have put another 0, pull it down, make it 300. It would go into that 3 times, but you only have to go one place after the decimal. So anyway, the answer in this case is 2.0. Okay, so remember that rule about the pull down, and if this is still too small for the divisor to fit into, be careful on that. Okay, let's keep going. So we're going to do 4.7 minus, so this one you have to line up, so I want to see that you know how to do that. The decimals have to line up in an addition or subtraction, and down here it's minus 3.67. Okay, and we're going to add a 0 in this empty space here. Okay, so 0, you have to borrow 1. 10 minus 7 is 3. This becomes a 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. You didn't have to borrow 1 to do that subtraction, so 4 minus 3 is 1, and the answer would be 1.03. Okay, here's a multiplication. I recommend, but don't insist that you cancel before you multiply. However, you must reduce the fraction in the final answer. Otherwise, it will be marked wrong. Okay, so 3 goes into 12. 3 goes into 3 one time. It goes into 12 4 times. So 2 times 4 is 8. And 1 times 5 is 5. And that's your final answer. It's reduced. You do not have to convert it to a mixed fraction, which would be 1 3/5. You don't have to do that. Okay? All right, next is a multiplication. You flip the bottom and multiply. So 2 over 7 times, now you flip this, 21 over 4. Okay, and you have a couple of cancellations you can do. 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 4 rather, 2 times. 7 goes into 7 one time, 7 goes into 21 3 times. So 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2, and that's your final answer. All right. Okay, on to page 3. This got a little crooked, so let's just rewrite it. It's generally good to copy a problem and not start writing and scratching out the original in general. You don't want to mess up your original problem. Just copy it. It doesn't take that long. Okay, so this is an addition, so you have to use crossing arrows. So 5 on top, and I'll put a little time sign there, 5 on bottom, and then the 6 comes over here, 6 on top, 6 on the bottom. So you have 4 little multiplications to do. So 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 5 is 30, plus 5 times 5 is 25, and 6 times 5 is 30. That's what you want to accomplish, is have the same number, common denominator, okay? So 18 plus 25 is 43. You do not add the denominators. That stays at 30. And again, you don't have to convert to a mixed fraction, so this is your final answer. You cannot reduce that. Okay, let's come here. It's similar to problem 7, except we've got to turn this in one additional step. We've got to turn this into a fraction. So it's 8 over 1, 4 over 9. Now you continue, you flip the bottom and multiply. So the 8 over 1 stays 8 over 1. Times 9 over 4. Okay, 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 8 two times, so that's going to be 2 times 9 is 18, 1 times 1 is 1, and you can just write that as 18, leave it like that. If you left it like this, it would be okay, but you don't need to put a number there. Okay, here we go. All right, so negative 67 minus negative 14. So the first thing you do is just recognize that double negatives become a plus. Negative 67 plus 14. So the way to think of this is do a number line. So here's 0. Way over on the left are the negative numbers. Let's say that's negative 67 right there. So what it means is you start here, negative 67, you move in this direction, the positive direction, 14 spaces, okay? You could do this on a calculator very easily, but if I do that, I do negative 67. Remember, you're going in the positive direction. It's negative 66, negative 65, negative 64, all the way until you get to negative 43, and that would be your answer. All right, solve for y. Very simple algebra problem. Okay, that means you got to get y by itself. That's what solve for y means. Okay, so let's just rewrite the problem here. So solve for y, that means I got to get rid of x. They're being multiplied. If it helps you, put a little dot there. The opposite of multiplication is division, so you divide both sides by x. These two cancel, so you have y by itself. So I would rewrite that, come over here and write y equals z over x, and that whole thing is your final answer right there. Okay? Another simple one right here, solve for b. There. So we need to get rid of the a. Now they're separated by a plus sign, so you're going to subtract a, not because the plus sign here, but because there's an implied plus sign in front of a. It's a positive number. So you got to subtract. You got to cancel that out. Plus a minus a goes to 0. That means you got to subtract the other side by a. Okay, so this goes poof and disappears. So you have b down here equals, now you should just write this as c minus a, like this, c minus a, and that's your final answer for that. Okay? All right, one of these, that's a two-step problem here. I will give you one of those. Solve for c. No matter what you're solving for, get rid of the denominator first. So what you're going to do is, I'll come down here, and I really like to write this problem like this. B plus c over d. Notice how I wrote it with the a is up in the numerator, it's up on the top. It's not, it looks like it's in the middle there. There's no such thing as the middle. It's either on the top or the bottom, and this is on the top. So that's the way I wrote it. Now you're going to multiply. If you want to do this, you can put parentheses around this. Multiply both sides by d and this side by d. So the d's there cancel. So now you have, and usually you write these in alphabetical order, though it's not wrong if you didn't do that, and you don't have to put the dot. AD means A times D, and that's what you have over here, equals B plus C. Okay, so we're solving for C, so we need to get rid of B. All right, so we're going to subtract B from this side. We're going to subtract B from this side. This goes away, so now we have C all by itself. So the solve for variable generally goes on the left, so I'm going to write C equals A times D minus B. AD minus B. Just practice that a few times if that seems a little tricky, and that's your answer. All right. Okay, we're now on to the last page, page 4, and in copying and pasting, producing this assignment, I did a duplicate, so you don't have to do that again. Doesn't hurt you, though. Okay, this one, we haven't done one expressly like this, but it's PEMDAS. You should know PEMDAS. We have talked about it. Okay, so it means parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication, division, you do those together from left to right in order that they come from left to right. And then after that, addition and subtraction as they come in order from left to right. Okay, so I'd like you to show the steps as you do this, even though you might be able to do a lot of these in your head. I want you to show me the steps. So the first step here is to add the 3 and the 2. So I'm going to copy the 2 squared plus 4 times 3 plus 2 is 5. That's all I did was that one step plus 3. Okay, now we do, that was parentheses, now we do an exponent, 2 squared. So that's 4 plus 4 times 5 plus 3, okay. So we've done the exponent, now we do the multiplication division. So there's only one, it's 4 times 5, so it's 4 plus 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3, Now come back over here. So now you add, you only have additions now, you do them from left to right, although it doesn't matter with addition, but if there was a subtraction in there, it would matter that you do them in the proper order. 4 plus 20 is 24, plus 3 more is 27, so that's your final answer there, okay? All right, here's another algebra problem. Again, just solve for x, find the value of x. So the first thing, you need to get rid of the 5 and you need to get rid of the 4 if x is going to be by itself. In this case, you get rid of the 4 first, you subtract. So since it's separated by a plus sign, you subtract. Okay, so you minus 4 from both sides, and you get, this goes poof and disappears, so you end up with 5x over on the left, and 19 minus 4 is 15. So I'm going to come up here, do that. So it's 5x, just copy it again, equals 15. Now it's a multiplication, so the opposite of that, or the inverse of that, is division. Divide by 5, cancel, and you come over here and you get x equals 15 divided by 5 is 3. You can always check your work by coming back here. Okay, so 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19. So we got the correct answer. Okay, here we go. Express the following numbers in scientific notation. Don't do that. That was from another class. We didn't do that in this class. So forget that and forget that. And this is a duplicate down here. So we're done with this assignment. So know how to do the problems that you see here. And that'll take care of this assignment for your test review for Friday, February the 10th.